At Garage Royalty, we've found the perfect solution to take your garage organization to the next level with our CrownWall panel system. CrownWall panels are an interior finish that can be installed as a track, a section, or to cover a complete wall. Panels can be installed over drywall directly onto the studs. We have a variety of heavy-duty accessories specifically designed to hold bikes, hand tools, garden tools, cleaning supplies, and anything else you might need to organize. Upon arrival, you'll find your CrownWall panels, J trim, which is used for edges and as a starter trim, F trim, which is used inside and outside corners, and H trim to connect between each column of panels. You'll need a few tools before installing: a tape measure, a pencil, a stud detector, a level, a drill, a rubber mallet, screws, and a drill bit. To cut the panels, you'll need an oscillating saw and a miter saw. We also recommend snips or heavy-duty scissors to cut the trim. Step 1. Decide where and how high you would like to start your crown wall. First, measure the starting point from the floor up and mark the spot with a pencil. For this install, we're going floor to ceiling. Step 2. Locate studs. Use a stud finder to locate and mark all studs in between the starting stud and finishing stud. Panels must start and finish on studs. Studs should be centered 16 inches apart in order to support 250 pounds per linear foot. Use a level to mark along their length, as you will need to screw each panel into each stud. It's also recommended to do a test screw to make sure the stud is there. Step 3. Making the frame for your panels. You can start by using J trim at the bottom for a finished smooth look, or install the panels straight to the wall. For this install, we started with J trim. Start by screwing in the J trim at the lowest point you want your wall to sit. Do this for each stud, except the start and ending studs. You're now ready to add trim to the sides of the bottom J trim. Use the correct trim depending on your design. We started with a corner, so we needed F trim on the right where the corner was located, and H trim on the left since we'll be installing more panels. If we were to end here, J trim should be used. Ensure that each piece of side trim is vertically level and screw in your side trim at each end. Screw through both the bottom J trim and side trims into the studs. The longer side of the J trim and H trim should be flush to the wall. Step 4. Installing the first panel. Slide the panel inside the trim and ensure that the panel is level. Begin screwing into the stud through the starter line on the panel. The starter line is located in the center of the upper channel. Do this for each stud. Step 5. Installing panels. Slide your next panel into the frame. Be sure to press down firmly until you hear an audible click. A rubber mallet may be needed to properly seat the panel. Screw through the upper channel and into each stud before adding the next panel. Repeat this step until all panels have been installed to the top of the trim. Step 6. Installing your top trim. For this install, we're going to the ceiling. To install our remaining panels and trims, we'll first have to extend the trim to the ceiling. Measure the gap between the ceiling and your trim and then cut your trim to fit accordingly. Drill your extended trim to the wall, and if more full panels are needed, install those first. The last panel will often need to be modified to ensure a floor-to-ceiling fit. First, measure the gap in between your uppermost panel and your endpoint. Next, cut the panel from the starter side down, leaving the ability to snap the panel into place. You will then take your J trim and place it over the top of the panel. To secure, we recommend an adhesive to put on the back of the panel and J trim. Take your panel with J trim to the gap and snap into place. To get the J trim behind your vertical trim, you may need a putty knife. The top trim is now installed. You will need to make cutouts for your outlets and switches. Before beginning any work in or around a power outlet, ensure that the power to that outlet has been disabled. Disassemble the receptacle unit, removing the faceplate and switch or power plug from the wall. Wrap the switch unit with electrical tape so as to secure the wire connections during reassembly later on in the process. 2. Panel installation. Install panels on the wall as per normal procedure. Once the electrical outlet or switch opening has been reached, measure and mark the area over the receptacle opening. This area will be cut out. 3. Cutting. Cut out the marked panel sections with an oscillating saw or jigsaw. Install the panels around the electrical outlet or switch opening. 4. Reassembly. When reassembling the switch unit, ensure to use screws that are a proper length, as the switch and switch plate are now further forward than before panel installation. 5. Reassembling the faceplate. With the switch or power unit reinstalled, the proper length screws mount the faceplate. The panel installation around the electrical outlet is now finished. You may also need to install around your electrical panel. To achieve the best results, you'll need to make a frame around the electrical box. Measure the height and width of the electrical box and cut your J-trim accordingly to make a frame. There may be instances where you must cut along the length of the panel to ensure that all the panels match in elevation. Measure gaps and cut your panels accordingly to fit around the electrical box. Once your panels are cut to the correct lengths, refer back to step 5 on installing panels if needed. When installing around a window, to achieve the best results around your window, the panels should stop at either side of the vertical portions of the window frame. The panel segments are separated above and below the window frame by sections of H-trim, while the wall sections on either side of the window frame are capped with J-trims. This will create 4 wall sections, one above, one below, and one on either side of the window frame. J-trim is first cut to the length of the wall section, then installed on the bottom of the slat wall sections, regardless of how far up the wall panel begins. The wall sections above and below the window frame are separated by H-trim sections that run from both bottom J-trim up until the J-trim around the window frame. Ensure that the H-trim is installed with a larger portion of the H facing out. Continue installing the wall section with the length going no further than the window frame. Step 2. Below the window frame, repeat Step 1 panel installation by cutting the panels no longer than the width of the window frame. H-trim sections are used to separate the wall sections. Step 3. Repeat Step 2 above the window, starting with the J-trim on top of the window frame. Note, there may be incidences where you must cut along the length of the panels to ensure that all the panels match in elevation. We trim the top panel to demonstrate this. Step 4. With the panel sections above and below the window installed, the next section of the panels can be installed on the opposite side of the window frame. This will conclude the installation of panels around your window. Before installing the CrownWall system around a doorway, there are a few important considerations to be made in order to achieve the best final result. To achieve the best results around your doorway, the panels should stop at either side of the vertical portions of the door frame and be capped by J-trims up until the top of the door frame. The panel segments are then separated above the door frame by H-trims, creating 3 panel sections, one on either side of the door and one in the middle above the door. For this particular install, we ended at the door. Step 1. J-trim is first installed on the bottom of the slat wall section, regardless of how far up the wall the panel begins. Beginning at the horizontal bottom J-trim, additional J-trim is installed vertically, ensuring to butt up against the existing door frame or trim and extending up until the top of the door frame. Panels are then installed as per normal procedure. Ensure they do not horizontally extend past the door frame. Finish the sections above the door frame with a section of H-trim as shown. Step 2. With one side of the door frame installed, the center wall section above the door can be installed. Cut a section of J-trim along with the panel sections to the length determined by the top of the door frame. Note, there may be incidences where you must cut along the length of the panels to ensure that all the panels match in elevation. We trim the top panel to demonstrate this. Step 3. With the center section installed, the other side of the door frame can be finished with panels as described in Step 1. Continue these steps around your garage until your crown wall is fully installed. After installation, you can use a Swiffer duster to clean the wall. You are now ready to install the CrownWall hooks, bins, shelves, and racks to your wall. CrownWall accessories are sold separately and make it easy to store and organize almost anything. Choose from hook options like our 8-inch and 4-inch double hooks, bike hooks, J-hooks, and 4-inch single hooks. Each accessory clips smartly into the grooves of your crown wall and holds firmly to support the weight it'll carry. Arrange and rearrange these accessories as needed to fit the demands of your garage and lifestyle. CrownWall panels make it easy to store and organize almost anything in your garage. Garage Royalty creates stunning garage products tailored to your exact needs.